Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Carlos Mencia, and you're watching Comedy Matters TV. Booyah!
Hey, this is Jeffrey Gurian here at the Gotham Comedy Club for the AXS TV special, Gotham Comedy Live. And I'm here with my old buddy, Carlos Mencia. How are you, Carlos?
Brother, it's a long time no see, man. Look, I think the last time we took a picture, I was really fat.
You were. That's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about because I was amazed when I saw, that photo we took was from there was a Latino comedy festival in LA, and it was you and Gabriel was there. There was all the Latino comics. It was really fun. Yeah. But I think that was the last photo. So we're going to have to get a new one tonight with your new self, man.
Yeah, definitely. No, you know what happened was, I never did any fat jokes in my act. I always knew I was overweight, right? And that was cool. I didn't care about that.
You weren't really overweight. I mean, you were chubby maybe, but not really overweight. But I mean, look what you did, man.
But that's my point. Like, what happened was a friend of mine got diabetes, and he told me, dude, you're fat. Like, I was fat, and I didn't think I was fat, and now I'm gonna get a toe amputated. And it just literally scared me to death. I mean, it really did. Like,
just from that conversation. But was that friend Gabriel?
No. But I did see Gabriel perform, and he had a really great set. And then I went backstage, and he was hurting, and that did happen. But he wasn't the one
because he's not fat. He's fluffy.
Yeah, he is fluffy. But you know what happened was two things happened at the same time. One, my friend got diabetes, and then another friend of mine tried to feed me. It wasn't really a joke, but a premise. But the premise was, he goes, "You ever notice that you never see really fat old people?" He's like, "I mean, really old people. Like, everybody that's really old that gets to 80 or 90, they're never fat." And I was just like, "Yeah, that. Oh shit, man, are you serious?" And then my friend tells me that he got diabetes and I'm going to get it. And you put those together. And I just said, I can't have that. And so, I just literally didn't change very much of my diet, except for I try really hard not to eat bad foods after shows in the middle of the night.
Which is hard for a comic because you were always up late. You're always traveling. And we're always hungry after a show. So what do? Do you carry healthy foods with you?
Yeah, I do actually. But there's salads everywhere. Here's the problem. The biggest problem is every city you go to, people tell you where to go eat. And it's never healthy. Yeah, right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Some great Italian place, chicken parmesan, whatever.
Oh, hey, you gotta go over here and you get there. What do I get here? You gotta have the meatballs, and then there's they're that big, I mean, I just got back from Syracuse, and it's a place called Dinosaur Barbecue, and we go in there, and I'm thinking, okay, so we get this platter that has a little bit of everything, and I'm thinking, what big deal? And I taste it, and it's just delicious. So now I'm into the macaroni and cheese and the rice and beans and the barbecue beans and the ribs,
all the good stuff.
Oh man, and I'm just like, why? So after I eat, we're at the Y, just working out, trying to get. It's just like it's sadly pathetic,
it's
man.
Like trying to spend your time in the sauna after you get wasted to get out all the toxins, but it doesn't.
No,
it's not the same.
It doesn't work, brother. It doesn't work.
But you know what I always respect? I respect people who take control of their lives. It's such a big statement to lose that much weight. I think you lost about 70 pounds, right? Isn't that right? So in order to do that, I mean, a lot of people want to do it, but they don't have the wherewithal to do that. Was it a battle for you? I mean, and was it a diet, or did you just do it on your own? I mean, because I think it's amazing to really take control of your life and change it. It doesn't have to go that way. It doesn't have to happen.
Yeah, it doesn't. The last 20 pounds, which were the hardest to lose, I did use it's a product, it's a hormone called HCG under a doctor's care. Buddy of mine in Las Vegas has a place called Trim Body MD, and he helped me out. But the rest of it was honestly more of a discovery than anything else. What I realized was how much I equate food with success and, you know, being able to prove to myself that I don't live in the poor projects place that I used to when I was a kid.
See, that's very interesting because food is like a drug sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's a way of rewarding yourself.
Yeah, but for me, it wasn't a reward in that respect. It was more of like, I can do this. Whereas to, like, I realized one of the things I cut out as much as I can is appetizers. Now, it's not that I'm a big appetizer guy per se. I used to think I was. But what I realized in doing this diet was, in changing the way I eat, is that I got appetizers because I could. Because I finally got to a place where I could afford appetizers, and I'm like, yeah, I want the appetizer. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, why am I getting appetizers? I really don't want boneless buffalo wings. I know that. I'm not gonna. I'll eat one or two.
It was a symbol of success.
And it was a symbol to feed my friends. And it was a symbol to take them to the best places where they have that kind of food, you know. And it tied into so many other things that's where I had to program my brain.
Well, and it does that, and you know what? It's about empowerment. It's about empowering yourself to overcome obstacles. One of the stories that I talk about in my own life, I was a very severe stutterer. And I stuttered badly into my 20s. I couldn't say Gurian. I couldn't say my name. And something told me that there was really nothing wrong with me, because most people don't know that when a stutterer goes into a room by themselves, they don't stutter. They speak perfectly. And that told me that there was really nothing wrong with me, that it had to do with how I felt about myself, my self-esteem. And I worked on myself for about 2 or 3 years. And I was given the grace, the way I call it, to get rid of or to free myself from the burden of stuttering. It's empowering when you do something like that. And that's what I respect, that when someone takes control of their lives and they really do something like that, it's amazing. And you look fantastic, by the way. You look really great.
Great, man. That's another thing, like being able to play racquetball again. And I mean, not that I couldn't before, but I just didn't. You know, I wake up with energy and I want to do things and I want to go out there and, you know, tackle the world again. And you know what it is? I've been doing comedy for 25 years, and I got to a place where things had to change for me. I just couldn't be the same guy, couldn't be the same comic, couldn't be the same thing over and over again. It just got repetitive. You know, stories need to be told about one's life that are different from the stories that were told before, and they're different stages in one's life and career. And I embraced that and said, all right, what is it? You know, I'm going to jump and see where I land and, you know, do things in a better way.
And it's cool that you did, because most people fear change. A lot of people would rather remain miserable, not just about weight and stuff like that, but just with anything in their lives. Because if I change, who will I be? Right. I'll be somebody different. And even though I'm miserable, at least I know who I am right now. You know what I mean?
That's very normal. That's very normal. Yeah. It's a very normal thing for us to. I mean, that's why people stay in bad relationships.
Exactly, because they'd rather be with somebody than be alone, because they're afraid of being alone. Yeah.
I'd rather be with Chris Brown that beats my ass, you know, than be with some other guy and take a chance that he's gonna, you know, love me that much or whatever it is. Exactly. And
because I don't feel like I deserve it sometimes too. That it's a lot about self-esteem.
Deep down inside,
because you gotta love yourself.
Well, you know, listen, most people don't love themselves, so they have kids and they transfer that bullshit onto their kids. And you know, that's one of the hardest things of becoming a parent is. It immediately becomes very glaringly apparent the shit about you that you don't like. Because you can pretend to yourself, oh, I pick my nose, I don't care. I fart, I don't care. I do that, I don't care. I don't hit my wife, or I hit my wife, I don't care. It's when you have all of a sudden you have a kid and you're like, I don't want my kid like being in a relationship where he or she thinks it's okay to get their ass beat. That's not cool. I don't want my kid to be farting and picking their nose and walking around going, I shit my pants. I don't want that. That's what I do. Holy shit. That's what I'm casting on to my children. I gotta change. And you realize like it's if you don't want it in people that you love, you don't want it in yourself either.
Right. It becomes a mirror of yourself, right?
And you have to change it, you know. And those are the moments in life where you become something different and better. Or like you said, you don't. And you just stay in that and you pass it on to your kids. And then one day, you know, your kid ends up marrying somebody like you and you hate it and you hate yourself. And, you know, all of a sudden Darth Vader comes out and just, the cycle is complete.
Exactly. You perpetuate the sickness that was in your life that whole time. So how many kids do you have?
I just have one, but I'm one of 18 and I have 78 nephews and nieces.
One of 18. You're the 17th, right, of 18? See, I fashioned myself kind of a comedy historian because of the book that I did, and I researched comedy. And I like to talk about the early days. Right. Your original name was Ned, right? Ned Holness?
It still is. Holness actually was never my real name. That was my birth father's name, but it was never given to me. My actual name was Ned Mencia, which, by the way, I didn't even know. Because I went by Holness up until I was 18. And then I went to get a driver's license. And they're like, who's this Holness guy? I'm like, I get, that's not me? They're like, that's not your real name. Your real name is Ned Mencia. And I was like, I'll be back. And I drive home and I'm like, what the fuck, Mom? Are you kidding me? She's like, what? What's my name? She's like, Ned. Keep going. She's like, what's my real name? She's like, it's Ned Mencia. I'm like, what? Then why did you let me go with this other bullshit name this whole time? She's like, well, that's your birth father's name. I'm like, but why don't I have it then? Right. She's like, I was mad at him when you were born, so I didn't put it on the certificate.
Oh, that's a good reason.
That was it. They were pissed at each other. I mean, look, I was raised by my uncle and aunt, not my mom and my mother and father. So, like, it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was bizarre. So it was Ned Mencia. I started doing stand-up comedy. Mitzi Shore sees me perform, and she says, you can't be an angry Mexican named Ned.
Perfect. That's a great impression. Yeah.
And I'm like, Mitzi.
First of all, I'm not Mexican.
Right? I'm not Mexican. I'm from Honduras. And she looks at me and she goes, well, you can't be an angry Mexican named Ned. Get used to it. You're Mexican. That's what everybody's going to think. And in my head, I remember going, you're full of shit. You don't know what you're talking about. I said, but, I have an uncle named Carlos. And she's like, Carlos Mencia. That's melodious. And I was like, all right, whatever. If the owner of a club is, and it wasn't a big deal to me because growing up in the 70s, there was this TV show called Ripley's Believe It or Not with Jack Palance. Mm-hmm. And there was one episode where at the end of it, he talked about like Greta Garbo and all the really prominent, names of actors and back in the day. But then they showed the real names. And then he said, like, my name is not Jack Palance. It's, Podolsky Sangliski. And he's like, believe it or not. So I remember going, oh, well, people do this shit all the time.
People change their names in show business all the time.
So when she said Ned Carlos, I was like, fuck it, The one thing I didn't agree with her, I was like, yeah, people are going to know I'm from Honduras. And it wasn't but maybe 3 weeks later, after going on stage every night and saying, I'm from Honduras. I was born in Honduras. I'm Honduran. And I'd walk off stage and be like, what part of Mexico is that? I'd be like, damn you, Mitzi, you're right about everything. So
you're officially Mexican now.
Yeah, but in New York, I'm Puerto Rican, and, in Miami, I'm Cuban. It doesn't matter. Like, Honduras is it's like the Switzerland. You almost speak the language of everybody, so nobody cares. Oh, you're French. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's that. And Mexicans are like, it's all right. You're one of us. And the Puerto Ricans are like, it's cool. Whatever. So it all works out.
Have you ever been to Honduras? Have you been back?
Yeah, many times. I lived in Honduras and in Mexico for a while, both countries here and there. Yeah, so I got to learn where my people are from and, where I come from. And it gave me a sense of humility because at the end of the day, no matter how bad things have ever got here, in my head, because as any human being, I perpetuate my problems to be the end of the world, whatever they are, whatever bullshit problems I have. But at the end of the day, I remember how fortunate I am that my parents came to this country, that if I was in Honduras, I would be the most talented,
the funniest Honduran comedian that never left the island.
Yeah, milking a fucking cow. You know what I'm saying? Like something
very funny on the farm.
Exactly, yeah. Dude. Something, and so it gives me perspective on life, and it makes me see the world in a different way, comedically speaking, allowing me to go a little further than a lot of other comics. Not on purpose, but I almost can guarantee that. Seinfeld and myself have completely different upbringings. I grew up in a country when I was younger in Honduras where you wake up and, 3 newspapers have 3 different dead guys. And I'm not talking like they're in color. So you see like first one, decapitation, second one, shot in the head, the other one, you know, cut up with a machete. And they take the picture. There are kids reading this.
There's no censorship there of people's feelings.
Feelings? Are you shitting me? No, man. I mean, and they don't even tell, like, they don't even have the decency to tell family members. So I literally lived in a town. It was
a small town
called La Ceiba for a while. And I remember one time going to school, walking by the newspaper with a dude's head cut off. The sister of that guy didn't know that he had been killed the night before.
Wow, what a way to find out.
Yeah. So I go, holy shit. And she's like, oh, Dios mío, mi hermano, which means, oh my God, my brother. Yeah. And now I'm like, holy shit. And I'm 10 years old going, what the fuck is happening here? And I remember just thinking, man, this never happens in America. And so when you grow up like that, you know, and then, you know, Whitney Houston dies.
There's no crime in America.
Yeah, right. You're like, I'm going to do a joke about that. And when people go, ooh, I'm like, ooh, it's not as bad as the lady that found down her fucking head. Come on now.
Exactly.
It's a whole
see what's going on in Honduras.
And which, even today, the murder capital of the world and the most dangerous city to live in is the most dangerous city, murder capital of the world is actually San Pedro Sula, Honduras. And per capita, the most dangerous city as far as crime and murders is Honduras. So,
never knew that. I'm not going then. I'm definitely staying in New York. So tell me, at some point you lived in a house with 18 children?
Not just that. It was like, you know, kids and moms and dads. So at some point, I think at the worst, there were like 7. At the most, there were like 23, I think.
Are you in touch with all of them? Your brothers and sisters?
No! Every time I call them, my bank account gets smaller.
Yeah, right.
Every time I say, how you doing? Oh, you know, the bills. Fuck, why did I ask that question?
My cow is sick, right?
Oh, everything, bro. Oh, the cat and the dog and the pig is walking sideways. Oh, fuck, really? Okay, wait, let me buy you a new pig. You have no idea how expensive a pig is, by the way.
Especially when they're not on warranty anymore. Forget about it.
Oh, they don't have anything. They just get old, they get crickety, and then they stop having kids and, well, little piglets, and then all of a sudden I got to buy a pig. It's horrible.
Do you remember the excitement you felt when you first got Mind of Mencia?
No.
When you first got your first show? I mean, that was your first big show, right? Mind of Mencia?
Honestly, it's going to be fun this next time around. Because the first time, and I'm just not talking about Mind of Mencia, but everything that correlated and came to that point, I was so busy mentally focusing on what I needed to do, I didn't have time to enjoy it.
Really?
No, didn't. And it's not a bad thing. I just wanted to put out the best product that I could, and that's where my head was.
But what led up to it? I'm always fascinated by people's big breaks. Like, that must have been a big break for you, right?
No, for me, there were tiny, tiny breaks that led to me meeting Robert Morton, and then us meeting with
Morty.
Yeah, so I met Morty, and then me and Morty got together, and then we met with Comedy Central. Then we did we didn't even do a pilot. We did a presentation at a theater that was live. They picked up the show. The show got good ratings, you know what I mean? And it went on and on. But it was so busy for me because it was my show. It was literally Mind of Mencia. And I would wake up, write a bit, give it to the writers, then, get pitch meetings, then, had to go do a voiceover, then had to go act in a piece, then had to, do another pitch meeting, then had to go and see what they were editing, then had to do a voiceover, and then it's, I got there at 9, all of a sudden it's 11 o'clock, got to go back to sleep. Next day, same thing, over and over again. So I never got the chance.
For how many years was that show? That was about 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah, we did 5 seasons, so it was awesome, but I didn't get to enjoy it.
You really enjoy it. This time,
I will.
You're working on a new show?
Working on new stuff. It'll inevitably happen again. Look, talent is talent. Cream just rises.
Talent finds a home, for sure. I remember the excitement of seeing you work the store in the main room. People would come from all over to watch you work. I remember coming from New York and seeing you. It was before Mind of Mencia. I just saw the energy that you put out on stage was unbelievable, and people felt it, and they came in and they enjoyed your show. You were like an angry Mexican, basically, in those days, in the early days.
Amy, she would, Mitzi was right, and she would always tell me, like, aim for the stars, aim for the greatness, be great. So I always have, and it's still to this day. You know, I have that excitement as if I was, you know, a little kid.
Well, it's great, and it's great seeing you here tonight. You're hosting the AXS TV special, which is live, by the way. Is that trip you out at all? Working live? It doesn't. You know, it's no different, right?
Do it every day.
Yeah.
Do it every single day. It's no change. I think the game in life is to prepare. Prepare yourself for any inevitability that can happen, and when you do that, you just find yourself in a more comfortable place.
Well, I got to tell you, it's a treat to see you, brother.
The treat is mine, my friend.
All the best.
The treat is mine.
All the
brother.
best. I'm
Appreciate
excited
it,
for you.
Thank you, brother.
And it's
Thank you.
good to see you again, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Peace.